everyone, my name is Molly, and today we're here to talk about all the books that I read in the month of November and all the books that I plan to read in the month of December. Somehow it is already December. I don't know how that happened, but it's the last month of the year. I definitely did not meet my reading goal for the year, and I know that for sure because I'm like 30 books short and I only have a month. And I'm not reading 30 books in a month. I'm sure there's people out there that can do it, but I am not one of them. But I did manage to read a good amount of books in the month of November, which I am pretty proud of because my life, as a common theme in these videos, has been insane. So it's pretty great that I got to read the amount of books that I did. I read 5 books in the month of November, which is pretty good. It's more than a book a week, which is what I try to keep my TBR. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, but that's what I try to keep it. So I was very happy that I managed to exceed my 4-book reading goal. Let's dive into the books that I read in the month of November. The first book that I read in the month of November was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is John Green's new release, been anticipated for what is it, like 6 years now? It definitely exceeded those expectations. It is one of the best books I've read. It is such good representation for people that have anxiety or OCD or any type of mental illness. It's just really amazing, really captures it, and it's pretty crazy because John Green was never a teenage girl, but this book really feels like the main character is real and she is a teenage girl. This book was definitely personal to John Green because he struggles with OCD and anxiety, which is what the main character of this book also struggles with. Her name is Aza. She is 17 years old, I believe, and her friend decide to team up to find this missing billionaire, and the reward for finding that missing billionaire is $100K. It develops into so much more than that. It's amazing. I highly recommend this book. I had to read it for 2 book clubs, actually. I read it one for our diversity book club. We already had our live show for Turtles. I will link it down below, and our Instagram so you guys can learn about all that fun stuff. Second, it was for my local bookstore's book club, so we read this as well. It was a very universal read. It got a lot done, but I probably would have read it anyway because it's amazing. It definitely holds up to all of John Green's other novels. The next book that I read on this list actually was also one that I highly anticipated for a while, and that is What to Say Next by Julie Boxbaum. This book came out sometime over the summer, and I never got the chance to read it because I waited to buy it till I met Julie, and then I just never got the chance to read it after that. But we went away for teachers convention, and it was a long drive, and so I brought this book with me, and I was addicted to it. It was so perfect. For those of you who don't know, Julie Boxbaum also wrote Tell Me 3 Things, which is one of my favorite contemporaries of all time, so I couldn't wait to dive into this one. I still like Tell Me 3 Things more, but this book was also amazing. I loved it so much. It follows 2 characters. One just recently lost her dad, and the second character is on the spectrum. He has Asperger's, I believe, and they end up forming an unlikely friendship, and the story follows them from there, and it's just an amazing book. I loved it so much. So sweet, so real, just amazing overall. I highly recommend Julie's books if you're looking for a feel-good, relatable, anything like that. Great choices. I really enjoyed this one. The next book that I read for pleasure just because I felt like reading it, and that is Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This book is an LGBT book. It follows one main character who is a gay, closeted boy that lives in a town of Mormons. It's a very religious town, and so he struggles a lot with having to hide his identity from his best friend and like everybody else in the town. But he ends up meeting this boy, and it's a roller coaster of a journey from there. That's really all I'm going to tell you, but it's a great book. It was so sweet. It just felt kind of like a rom-com-y type thing, and this cover is gorgeous. The next book that I read this month was Zero Repeat Forever by G.S. Prendergast. I hope I said that right. Zero Repeat Forever was actually a change from the rest of the books that I read this month because those were all contemporaries, but this book is actually more of a fifth wave type dystopian book. It actually really reminded me of the Fifth Wave, and that's initially what interested me so much in the novel. I was disappointed by this book. I felt like the story was unnecessarily long, and the characters and the story went in circles a a lot. I felt like we spent a lot of time just like dawdling. There were certain things that the characters would say like they learned from, and then they would do the same thing again and be like, oh my god, I learned from it. And it's like just going in circles, and then the story just kept going in circles. Like I felt like nothing ever changed. Nobody ever developed. And I was disappointed by that because I really, really wanted to like it, because it's been a while since I've read a good dystopian book, and I came into reading in the like tail end of the dystopian age. So, you know, that's like my OG. Those are my like OG book families. So I was excited to find another dystopian that I was excited about, and nothing happened. The final book that I read this month, I don't have a physical copy of, but it was Rosemarked. Rosemarked follows a girl and a boy, and they are teaming up against this empire. So in this world, there is this plague. It's called the Rose Plague, and it kills most of the population, and if you survive, you can either be umber touched, I believe is how you pronounce it, which means you still have the marks all over you, so people know you had the plague, but it's not contagious anymore. Or you can be rose-marked, which means that you still have all the marks from the plague and it's still contagious, and eventually it will one day kill you, but you survived it for now. In this society, this healer ends up contracting this plague, and then there's a soldier who ends up contracting the plague. The healer becomes rose-marked and the soldier becomes umber-touched. And these two end up pairing up together to try and defeat this evil empire. Now, this book, it was weird. I really liked it in the beginning. I was flying through it, and then when I got to about 100 pages in, I just stopped. I got kind of bored with the story. I didn't really care. Nothing was really happening. And then I forced myself to read it because it wasn't mine. It was my friend's book. So, like, I had to, you know, finish reading it. So I finished it, and it picked back up, and I actually did end up enjoying the latter part of the book, but that middle chunk was really hard for me to get through. The ending was interesting enough that because it is part of a multiple book series, I will read the next book if I get a chance to. So those are all the books that I read in the month of November. Let's move on to my December TBR. The first book that I have on my December TBR is 1984 by George Orwell. I have to read this book for my school book club. It is our book of the month. I have to finish it by December 19th, so I should really get on it because I'm only on page like 4. But this is one of the few classics that I actually have interest in reading, so I am actually pretty excited that now I have the opportunity to read this, because otherwise it probably would have been pushed off. The next book on my TBR I don't have a physical copy of, but it is 5 Flavors of Dumb. This is our Diversity Reads Book Club Book of the Month. Our live show date has yet to be determined, but I will leave information down below. So 5 Flavors of Dumb follows a main character who is deaf, which is interesting because I've never read a book about a deaf main character before, so I'm excited to see that. But it follows this girl, she's deaf, and she has to manage this band. That's all I know about the book, but my friend Emily said she's really excited to read it, and I trust her judgment, so I'm excited to read it too. The next book on my TBR is Things I'm Seeing Without You. Again, don't have the physical book, but this is my local bookstore's book club book of the month. Things I'm Seeing Without You is about a girl whose boyfriend commits suicide, I believe, and so it's her coping with that and learning how to live in a world without him and dealing with all that grief. I know it got a lot of hype, the cover is gorgeous, and I'm excited to read it, although I feel like it's gonna make me cry. Sticking with the theme of my local bookstore, our book club leader actually recently wrote a book, and so that's very exciting, and she gave us beta reading copies to read and give her our feedback and things like that. So I have the copy here, and I'm hoping to read it this month. It is called The Nightbringer by Kira Desama. I'm hoping I'm saying her last name right. And on the back, I just noticed this. It says The Hunger Games in Space. Kind of. And that is more than enough to get me interested. It's not very big yet because like I said, this is a beta reading copy, so it's not really developed, it's just like the first draft, but I'm super excited to read it. That blurb just got me so excited. The next book has been on my TBR for about 3 months now, I think, so I'm just gonna show it to you, move on, and that is Release by Patrick Ness. I've had this on my TBR for a really long time, and slowly but surely I get further and further in every time, but because of all these book clubs I'm a part of, things just get pushed off because I need to read other books for other things. So this poor book has just been pushed off and pushed off, but I'm trying to get through it. The last book that I have on this TBR is just a fun little book that I want to read for me personally. There's no more book clubs. I just want to read it really bad, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. Love Stephanie Perkins. I love her books. They're amazing and they're great and I love them, and I just repeated myself in a bunch of different ways, but it's fine. I just really want to read this book. It's like a murder mystery, but there's also romance, and I'm so excited to read it. Those are the books I plan to read in the month of December. Wish me luck on that TBR because there's a lot, but I'm hoping to get them all done. Like I said, there's Christmas break, so hopefully that will be enough time. I'm not going anywhere, thankfully, so hopefully I'll have enough time to get some reading done. Let me know what you guys are planning to read on your Christmas break. What was your favorite read of last month? All that fun stuff. I love to chat about books with you guys. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I try to upload a video every week. If you like my videos, then subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!